You're not the good girl tonight. You're the problem everyone whispers about. Hi, love. I'm V, and this is Girly Tales, your cozy corner of the internet where we slip into another girl's life and fall asleep inside her secrets. Tonight, you're in 1950s Brooklyn, red lipstick smudged, heels kicked off, satin dress crumpled on the edge of a velvet chair. Downstairs, jazz music hums through the floorboards. Men in sharp suits talk in low voices, and every single one of them knows your last name. Because you're the Mafia boss's daughter. You grew up with lullabies sung over the clink of whiskey glasses, with fathers who never came home before midnight, with uncles who smiled with their mouths, but never with their eyes. People cross the street when they see you, not because you're dangerous, but because of who would burn the world down if anything happened to you. But in this story, you're safe. This is your soft space to explore the danger, the power, and the loneliness of being the girl everyone fears, and no one truly knows. So get comfy, dim the lights, lay back, and let me tuck you into her world. Take a deep breath in and out. Let the city fade. Let the secrets start to whisper. Now, let's fall asleep to the secret life of a mafia boss's daughter. You wake to the sound of the L. The train rumbles past like a slow metal thunder just outside your bedroom window, rattling the glass in its frame. For a second, you don't know where or when you are. All you feel is vibration in your bones and the soft scrape of cotton sheets against your bare legs. Then the rest of it comes back. Brooklyn, 1956. Third floor walk up over a bakery that doesn't really make its money from bread. And you're the boss's daughter. The ceiling above you is low and a little cracked, painted a white that's more nicotine cream than pure. Posters are taped to the walls, crooners in suits, starlets with perfect waves and red lips, and between them, the Virgin Mary watching you from a cheap-framed print. A faint smell of espresso and baking bread is already seeping up through the floorboards, mixing with something sharper underneath. Cigarette smoke, aftershave, and last night's anxiety. Your alarm clock, a square ticking thing with brass edges, says 7:12. Voices drift up through the thin floor. Men's voices. One of them is your father's. You lie very still, listening. I said no more talk at the door. You understand? You meet him at the corner. Not here. You don't bring that to my house. Your father's voice has that calm, even tone he uses when the conversation is not really up for discussion. There's a clink of ceramic, coffee cups, spoons, the murmur of another man answering too quietly for you to make out the words. Then your father again, lower now, just out of reach. You stare at the cracks in the ceiling and let it wash over you. This is your morning soundtrack. Coffee, hushed meetings, the L's rumble, the quiet knowledge that the bakery downstairs is not just a bakery. And your father, Giovanni Russo, is not just Mr. Russo who owns the place. Not to the men who come in the back alley door before dawn. You swing your legs over the side of the bed. The floor is cold under your bare feet. You shiver, rubbing your arms, and cross to the small dresser under the window. The top is crowded with things that make up the outer life of an ordinary Brooklyn girl. A pink plastic comb, a bottle of drugstore perfume, a tiny jewelry box, a tube of lipstick you bought with cash hidden from your mother. And then there's the other thing, a worn leather notebook tucked just under your folded scarves, your diary. You don't open it yet. That's for later, when the day has settled into the kind of quiet where your thoughts get too loud. For now, you crack the window, letting in a slice of morning air. The street below is already stirring. Delivery trucks grinding their brakes, someone calling in Italian, the hiss of the bakery ovens. You can see the front sign from here. Russo and Sons Bakery in fading red letters curling over the windows. The neighborhood women buy bread there. Kids get free cookies if they smile wide enough. Old men linger over espresso all day long, playing cards, talking too loudly about the Yankees. And in the back, beyond the employees only door, the real business happens. You pull your nightgown over your head and toss it on the bed, reaching for your slip. The mirror on the dresser shows you the same face you've been learning to live with. Dark hair that never quite wants to stay in place. Big brown eyes you got from your mother. A soft mouth that always looks like it's on the edge of confessing something. You don't look like the girl people picture when they say, the Mafia boss's daughter. You look like any other 20-year-old Italian-American girl in Brooklyn, which, in a way, is your greatest protection. You slide your arms into a short-sleeved blouse, fasten the row of tiny buttons, and step into your skirt. It's high-waisted, calf-length, navy blue. Proper, your mother would say. Respectable. You add a thin belt, smoothing the fabric over your hips, and step into your low heels. You tilt your head at your reflection. Boss's daughter. Good girl. Good Catholic. Smart enough to know when not to ask questions. You put on your necklace last, a small gold cross, warm from being worn almost every day since your first communion. Your father's gift. He'd handed it to you in the kitchen that night long ago, smelling like tobacco and cologne, eyes soft in a way they never were with anyone else. For my girl, he'd said, whatever happens, you remember. You're mine. You remember. You always remember. The kitchen smells like heaven and trouble. You come down the narrow stairs slowly, hand sliding along the smooth banister your father's men polished themselves. The door at the bottom sticks like always. You hip check it with a practiced twist, and it gives way with a little sigh. Your mother is at the stove, her dark hair pinned back, apron already dusted with flour. A pot of espresso bubbles on the burner, and a pan of eggs sizzles, the edges crisping in oil. Buongiorno, tesoro, she says without turning around. Sit, eat. Your father's at the table, suit jacket already on. He always dresses for the day like there might be a photograph taken at any second. White shirt, narrow tie, dark jacket that fits his shoulders just right. He's reading the paper, one hand wrapped around a tiny cup of coffee. He looks up when you enter, and the serious lines of his face soften. There she is. His voice warms. My ragazza. You kiss his cheek, breathing in his mix of cologne and cigarette smoke, and slide into the chair beside him. There are 2 other cups on the table, both empty, both still warm. The men who sat in them are gone now, out into the Brooklyn morning, carrying his orders with them. Your mother puts a plate in front of you. Eggs, toast, a piece of yesterday's bread, reheated and rubbed with garlic. She adds a tiny cup of espresso and 1 sugar cube because she knows you'll dunk it like you did when you were little. She clicks her tongue. Eat, eat. You're all bones. You're not, but arguing with your mother is like arguing with the tide. Your father folds the paper in half and slides it aside. His dark eyes study you for a beat longer than usual. "You're up early," he says. "You were out late last night." You carefully cut your toast. "We were at the diner. Just me, Rosie, and Lena." You look up, meeting his gaze straight on. You've learned to always meet his eyes. He can smell a lie like smoke. "We shared one milkshake, so you don't have to worry I'm bankrupting the family." One corner of his mouth twitches, almost a smile. "If my daughter wants a milkshake, she can buy her own. Or maybe her father can buy it," your mother mutters from the stove. "What is the point of being a big shot if your girl can't have her own milkshake?" Your father makes a soft clucking sound of amusement and reaches over to squeeze your hand. "You're careful?" he asks quietly. Now the joking is gone. It's just him and you and the weight of what he doesn't name. "Yes, Papa." "No boys walking you home?" "Just Joey from the corner," you say lightly. But you know Joey. He's more scared of you than the devil. Your father leans back, satisfied. "Good." The quiet stretches. It's always like this, threaded through your mornings, these coded questions, these reassurances. He doesn't ask if you're happy. He asks if you're safe. Maybe to him, they're the same thing. He taps the newspaper with one finger. "There was trouble up in the Bronx," he says, casually. Your mother's shoulders go rigid just for a second. "Nothing you need to worry about, but I want you coming straight home after class today, capisci?" You nod, throat tight. "I mean it," he adds, softer now. "No detours, no window shopping. Straight home." The words are ordinary. The tone is not. "Okay," you say quietly. "Straight home." He nods once, accepting the promise, and picks up his coffee again. Your mother sets a plate in front of him, then one for herself, and the three of you eat while the kitchen clock ticks and the L rumbles and the neighborhood outside slowly opens its eyes. You say grace. You talk about small things. Your mother reminds you to pick up more bobby pins because your hair is always falling in your face. Your father complains about the Dodgers like it's the most pressing issue in his life. And underneath all of that, there is the other layer, the things no one says out loud at this table. Who owed him money? Whose business suddenly started doing better after a few visits from his men? Why the bakery never seemed to struggle, even when others did. You have learned to live with a double exposure. One layer of ordinary life, one layer of something else, harder and sharper and more dangerous. You clear the plates. Your mother swats your hand away when you try to help with the washing. Up, go, go. You'll be late. The college doesn't accept "my mother needed help with the dishes" as an excuse. Your father takes one last sip of coffee and stands, chair scraping gently against the tile. He is not tall, but the room shapes itself around him all the same. He steps close, adjusting the collar of your blouse with a tenderness that always surprises you. He tucks one strand of hair behind your ear, fingers rough but careful. "You're smart," he says, quietly, just for you. "You study, you get that paper. You hear me? You don't need this life." You know what he means. You don't argue. You just nod. "I hear you." He kisses your forehead. His lips are warm and smell like coffee. "Brava," he murmurs. "Now go." And straight home. You grab your books, your bag, your light coat. At the door, you turn back. Your mother is at the sink, sleeves rolled up, humming under her breath. Your father is already reaching for the newspaper again, but his eyes are still on you. For a moment, all of it. The bakery, the L, the deals you don't see but feel, fades. It's just a kitchen, and you're just a girl, and that's just your father, telling you to be careful in a world he knows too well. You smile, open the door, and step out into the hallway. The street slaps you awake. Sound, light, smell, it's all louder out here. Kids dart past you, chasing a rubber ball. A woman leans out of a second-floor window, hanging laundry on a line strung between buildings. She waves at you so vigorously the clothespin in her mouth almost falls. "Morning, Bella," she calls. "Tell your mama I'll bring back her pan later." You wave back. The sidewalk is cracked, gum-stained, alive. You pass the front window of the bakery and catch a glimpse of the inside. The glass is fogged with steam. A line is already forming. Your father's younger brother, Uncle Marco, is at the counter, all smiles and jokes and quick hands. He looks like an ordinary baker in an ordinary place. You know better. You also know that if you walk around to the alley, you'll find the back door half open, a man in a hat standing there, smoking, checking the street with eyes that miss nothing. You don't look that way. You keep going. The air smells like bread, exhaust, cigarette smoke, and the faint sweetness of the candy shop up the block. A radio crackles from somewhere playing a love song. Someone curses in Italian, someone laughs. A car backfires and you feel your shoulders tense before you can stop them. Brooklyn has been your entire world forever. You can trace the cracks in this sidewalk from memory. You know which lamppost flickers and which steps creak. You know which stoops belong to families who smile at you, pressing cookies into your hands, and which ones host men who go quiet when you walk past. Everyone knows you, or they know who your father is, which out here is almost the same thing. On the corner, you see Rosie waiting, leaning against a lamppost in a skirt more fitted than your mother would approve. Her dark hair is up in a scarf, her lipstick perfect. She grins when she spots you. "There she is," she says, "the queen of Court Street." "Shut up," you say, but you're smiling. "Your papa let you out today?" she teases as you fall into step together. "You sure we don't need to bring him a note?" "He just said to come straight home." Rosie whistles. "That bad, huh?" "Bronx," you say, softly. "That's all." She nods, mouth tightening. You don't talk about it more. There are rules for this kind of information. How loudly you can say it, how long you can dwell on it. Instead, she bumps your shoulder with hers. "So, Mr. College Girl, what's on the menu today? More dead poets? More math that nobody will ever use?" "Intro to sociology," you say. "We're talking about power structures." Rosie snorts. "You could just bring your professor to your house." "Funny." "Tell him to come sit in the bakery for a day." She goes on. "He'll learn all about power." You smile, but something in your chest twists, because she's not wrong. You reach the train station together, and she peels off toward the dress shop where she works. You climb the stairs to the platform alone, clutching your books. On the train, you grab a strap and sway as the car lurches. Men in hats bury their faces in newspapers. Women in flowered dresses clutch handbags to their chests. Two teenagers in leather jackets whisper to each other, hair slicked back, eyes sharp. You think about your father's words. You don't need this life. College feels like another world entirely. On campus, the buildings are red brick, dignified. Professors walk in tweed jackets, smoking pipes, talking about things that live mostly on paper. No one there cares who your father is. No one there looks at you and sees the back room of a bakery. You sit in lecture halls, take notes, answer questions. You listen to people argue about the nature of justice, about systems of power, about crime and punishment in abstract terms. Sometimes, as you write, you think, if they knew, if they knew how things actually move in the world, how fear works, how money buys silence, how respect can be demanded with a look. You keep that thought to yourself. You sit in the library between classes, light slanting through high windows, breathing in paper and dust. You read about civilizations and revolutions and people who broke the rules other men made. You wonder what it would look like to write your own story instead of just living inside theirs. You keep your promise. You go straight home. No stops at the record shop. No lingering outside the movie theater to stare at posters you probably won't see on the big screen until they're 6 months old and playing at the cheap matinee. The afternoon light is slanting golden by the time you turn onto your block. You see the car before you see anything else. It's parked a little too neatly at the curb. Shiny black, new. Not the usual family cars of the neighborhood, dented and dusty. Two men sit inside, hats low. Both of them are looking straight ahead. Your stomach tightens. You know your father's cars. You know his license plates, the way his drivers lean, the way they light their cigarettes. This is not his car. You ease your steps just a fraction, but not enough to be obvious. You keep your gaze down. You become, in an instant, the girl who has never noticed anything in her life. You tighten your grip on your books. As you pass, you catch a fragment of conversation through the open inch of window. Said he moved the meeting. Tonight, back room. Yeah, you sure? A pause, the tiniest of pauses. Your heart knocks against your ribs so hard you think they must hear it. Boss's orders, the first voice says. 9 o'clock. You don't know whose boss they mean, but you know one thing. Whatever they're talking about, they're too close to your home. You push the building door open with more force than necessary. The heavy wood thudding shut behind you like a full stop. The staircase smells like dust and old paint. You climb quickly, heart still beating too fast, and let yourself into the apartment. It's quiet, too quiet. The radio is off, the kitchen is empty. A pot sits in the sink, half scrubbed, abandoned. A dish towel hangs over the back of a chair like someone dropped it in the middle of a thought. Ma? You call. No answer. You drop your books on the table and move through the apartment, pulse drumming in your ears. The bedroom doors are open. Your parents' bed is made. Your small room at the end of the hallway is exactly as you left it. A draft lifts the edge of your curtain, and through it, you hear a sound. Voices. They're coming from below, from the bakery, from the back room. You should stay up here. You know that. This is the part of the movie where the girl minds her own business, does her homework, and waits for her father to come home, kissing her forehead like always. You stand there in your quiet hallway, listening, and you know what the good girl does. You're not sure you can be her today. You move to your window, open it carefully, and lean out just enough to see. The alley between your building and the next is a narrow slice of shadow. At the end of it, the bakery's back door is open a crack. Light spills out, a warm yellow rectangle on the concrete. A figure moves past it, then another. You can't see their faces from here, just the silhouettes. You hear your father's voice. So they're sitting out front now, calm, flat. Yeah, boss, another man answers. Two of them, in the Chevy. Your breath catches. You press your shoulder against the window frame, heart punching against bone, and listen. This is your secret life, not the classes, not the college campus, not even the diary under your scarves. The secret life is this. You are a girl standing at a third-floor window, listening to the man everyone fears talk about the men watching him. And you, the girl no one thinks matters, are hearing every word. You stay there, fingers pressed white against the flaking paint of the window frame, while below you, the conversation moves in low, steady currents. We counted 2 in the Chevy, one across the street at the newsstand. A man says, "You think it might be Frankie, the one with the heavy shoulders and the nervous hands?" "Could be more. We told the boys to take the long way round." Your father answers, voice calm in that way that makes other men lean in. "They been sittin' long?" "Couple hours." A pause. You can almost see him rubbing his jaw the way he does when he's thinking. Thumb pressed against the hinge, fingers resting over his mouth as if he could physically hold the words in. "They want us nervous," he says finally. "They want us twitchy. They want somebody young to do something stupid." A murmur of agreement. "Let them sit," he adds. "They can get stiff legs and cold coffee. We don't give them anything else." You let out a breath you didn't realize you were holding. You shouldn't be listening to this. Every instinct you've grown up with says so. All the invisible rules your family never wrote down, but pressed into your bones say, don't ask, don't repeat, don't be where you shouldn't be. And yet, you don't move. Someone down there says a name you don't recognize. Another man, another neighborhood, a place in the Bronx where something went wrong. You hear the scrape of a chair. "So, what do you want us to do about tonight?" Another voice says. "The shipment?" Your father cuts him off quietly. "Tonight stays as planned," he says. "Different route in, different route out. No one walks alone." "They might be waiting at the docks," someone counters. "They might," your father agrees. "That's why you don't go stupid. You go smart. We don't cancel." Canceling tells them they can push us. They push once, they'll push again. His voice doesn't rise. It doesn't have to. "Capisci?" A chorus of "Yes, boss." You press your forehead to the cool glass. The L rattles by again, briefly drowning out their words. When it fades, all you catch is the tail end of the conversation. "And somebody checks on my girl." Your father is saying, "She comes home. She stays home. Nobody bothers her. She doesn't even know this is happening." You blink. You swallow. You are upstairs, leaned half out the window, knowing exactly that this is happening. You close the window very carefully. You take a step back, heart still pounding. You are his daughter, his girl, the one he thinks he can keep separate from all this. College, books, neat little notebooks, power structures on chalkboards instead of in back rooms. For a moment, you wish you could unknow what you just heard, but that's not how anything works. You walk back down the hallway, the apartment stretched out around you in soft afternoon light, the ticking clock, the clean plates drying on the rack, the crucifix on the wall by the bedroom door. Your mother's doing. Everything is quiet in that deep, waiting way a house gets when it knows something is coming, but doesn't know what. You sit at the kitchen table. Your books are still where you dropped them. Your notebook lies open, an unfinished page of class notes staring up at you. Max Weber, Legitimate Uses of Power, it says in your careful handwriting. You stare at the words until they blur. Then, slowly, you reach for the other notebook, the leather one, your diary. You pull it from beneath your scarves and lay it flat on the table. The cover is warm from your hands. The pages smell faintly of ink and something almost sweet, like pressed flowers. You turn to a blank page. For a second, you just sit. The pen feels heavy between your fingers. Then you start to write. March 22, 1956. I came home straight like he told me. There's a black Chevy on the corner, and men in the back room, and Papa's voice is calm, too calm. He thinks I don't know. He told them to look out for his girl, like I'm made of glass. I don't know if I'm angry or scared or something in between. The words spill easier after that. You write about the car on the corner, about the way your mother's dish towel still hangs from the chair, about the feeling in your chest like someone's holding a fist around your heart and just not squeezing yet. You write about college, how the professor said crime is a symptom of inequality, how some boy in a pressed shirt argued back like he had any idea what it feels like to see a man in a nice suit say your father's name and drop his eyes in the same breath. You write about Rosie, her jokes, her eyes tightening at the word Bronx. You don't write anyone's real names. You never do. Maybe it's a superstition. Maybe it's the thin layer of deniability you give yourself, as if some future version of you could claim, no, no, that wasn't him. That wasn't us. Just a story. Just a dream. You write until your hand aches and the sunlight on the table has shifted from gold to something softer, dimmer. You are still writing when you hear the front door open. Tesoro, your mother calls. You home? You snap the diary closed. Yes, Ma, I'm here. You slide it under your notebook, under the sociology notes, under the life you're supposed to be building. Your heart thuds hard enough to make your fingers shake. Your mother appears in the doorway, cheeks flushed, hair escaping its pins. There you are, she says, relief softening her voice. Why didn't you answer me? I was studying, you say quickly. Didn't hear you come in. She eyes your books, then you, then the window. She says, in that way that means she doesn't entirely believe you, but doesn't have the energy to push. Your father will be late tonight. You eat with me, okay? You nod, swallowing. Of course he will be late. You knew that already. The evening crawls. You chop garlic with your mother. The sharp smell filling the kitchen, seeping into your skin. You roll meatballs between your palms, feeling the cold slickness of the meat, the grit of breadcrumbs. Your mother moves with practiced efficiency, humming some old song under her breath. Every now and then, her gaze flicks to the clock. A tiny crease sits between her brows like a permanent tenant. You want to ask? You don't. You mix the salad, set the table, pour 2 glasses of water. The radio plays softly in the corner, some crooner singing about hearts and highways. Your mother mutters at the DJ when he switches to an ad. I swear, they talk more than they play music, she says, shaking her head. Then she looks at you. You okay? You're quiet. I'm fine, you lie. Just tired. Long day. She searches your face for a long moment. You work too hard, she says finally. College, studying, helping me. I don't want you wearing yourself out. You could laugh. You don't. Instead, you say, I'll be okay, and hope your voice doesn't give you away. You eat together at the small kitchen table, the familiar rhythms of 1,000 other dinners. Pass the bread, How was class? Did you hear what Mrs. Romano's boy did? You need a new coat before next winter. Except tonight, it all feels thin, like a sheet stretched over something heavier and darker underneath. After dinner, you wash the dishes while your mother dries. The sound of the sponge squeaking against plates is too loud in the quiet. You can feel the absence at the table like a missing tooth. When the last dish is put away, your mother sighs. I'm gonna say my rosary, she says. You do your homework, okay? You nod. You know what say my rosary means? It means she's going to sit on the edge of her bed, beads in hand, whispering, Hail Marys not for vague general salvation, but for something very specific, for his safe return, for the people who might not want him to come home. You open your book again because it gives your hands something to do. Criminal behavior as social response, the chapter title says. You read the words, they don't stick. Outside, the city settles into nighttime. The streetlights hum. The occasional car passes. Somewhere, someone's radio is on too loud, a brass band blaring through a cracked window. Time stretches, thins, snaps, stretches again. 8 o'clock, 9. You tell yourself you're not watching the clock. You are. 9:30 creeps past. Your mother's door is still closed. The apartment is quiet except for the faint murmur of her prayers and the ticking of the kitchen clock. You inch the window open again. The black Chevy is gone. You can't decide if that's good or bad. The air's cooler now, tinged with the smell of the river far off, and the city's heat slowing under the weight of night. You lean your elbows on the sill. Your mind spins stories without your permission. The docks, men moving in the shadows, the sound of waves against pilings, a deal gone wrong, a flash, boots scraping on wet boards, a body in the water. You squeeze your eyes shut. He's fine, you tell yourself. He always has been. For as long as you can remember, he has left and returned, like the tide. Hair damp with rain, shoulders dusted with snow, shirt sleeves rolled up in the summer heat. He will come home. He always comes home. And yet, every girl in this neighborhood has a story about an uncle, a cousin, a neighbor who left one night and did not. You are not stupid. You are his daughter. You know the math. You stand there until your legs start to ache, until the air chills the sweat at the back of your neck, until the clock pushes past 10. And then, footsteps in the hallway. 2 sets. Male voices, low. Your heart stumbles, then leaps. You yank the window down, step away. Try to look like you haven't been standing there for an hour with your stomach in knots. The door opens. Your father walks in. He is whole. Your knees almost give. His tie is loosened, his hat tucked under his arm. There's a smudge on his cheek like someone brushed against him in a hurry. His suit smells like smoke and river air and the night. Behind him, Frankie steps in, shoulders tight, eyes scanning the room automatically before relaxing a fraction. He nods at you. Evening, he says. Hey, Frankie, you manage. Your mother appears in the bedroom doorway so fast you'd think she'd been standing there waiting, beads in hand. The look on her face, relief and fury and love all tangled together, makes your chest ache. You're late, she says, voice trembling. He smiles at her, soft and tired. I'm here. She crosses herself, muttering, Grazie Dio, under her breath, and moves to him, brushing at the smudge on his face like she can erase all of it with one swipe of a dish towel. All done, he says, brushing her forehead with his lips. No problems. You don't know if that's entirely true. You don't ask. Go wash your hands, she says, voice stern now, because she has to put the world back how it's supposed to be. I saved you a plate. You can eat while it's still hot. He looks at you over her shoulder. You look back. For a moment, there is something in his eyes you don't usually see there when he looks at you. You can't name it. It's not fear, exactly. It's not pride. It's something like regret, maybe, and something like apology. Then it's gone. Eat, tesoro, he says. You hungry? You shake your head. No, Papa, I'm okay. Go on, your mother urges him, pushing him toward the sink. Wash up, I'll heat it. Frankie moves toward the door. I'll be downstairs, he says quietly. Make sure everything's tight. Your father nods. Good. No more visitors tonight, eh? No, boss. He disappears back into the stairwell, and it's just the three of you again. Your mother fusses with pots, banging lids, clinking plates. Your father washes his hands, rolling up his sleeves. You stand there, feeling like someone unplugged you. You should go to bed. You should go back to your homework. You should do 1,000 things. Instead, you hear yourself say, Papa? He glances over, one eyebrow raised. You swallow. How long are you going to do this? The words hang there, heavier than anything else in the room. Your mother freezes at the stove. Your father dries his hands very slowly. This, he repeats. You gesture. You don't know how to make your hands say what you mean. The bakery, the men, the cars that sit on corners too long, the late nights and the hushed conversations and the way your mother runs her fingers over her rosary like a nervous habit. This life, you say instead. He looks at you for a long time, long enough for you to regret asking, long enough for you to wish you could fold the words back into your mouth and swallow them. Then he lets out a quiet breath and pulls out the chair opposite you. He sits. Your mother stays very still by the stove. Like if she doesn't move, maybe she can pretend she's not hearing this. Your father laces his fingers together on the table. When I was your age, he says slowly, I had two choices. He holds up one finger. Break my back in the docks like my father did. Come home with my hands bleeding, my clothes soaked, my pay missing half its teeth because somebody up the line decided they needed it more. Second finger. Or I could be the man who made sure my brothers came home with their paychecks. The man who told other men, you don't touch them. You don't take from them. His eyes don't leave yours. You know which one I chose. You do. And now, you ask, your voice small. Now that we're not starving, now that I'm in school, now it is not just about me, he says quietly. It is about everyone who eats because of this table, everyone whose rent gets paid because I say so. You think I walk away? It all stays neat? He shakes his head. Somebody else steps in, maybe worse, maybe stupider, maybe cruel. He leans back, studying your face. You don't like it, he says. It's not a question. You feel your throat tighten. I like that we have food, you say. I like that Ma doesn't have to sew until her fingers bleed. I like that I get to go to college. But I don't. You look down at your hands. Every time you leave, I don't know if you're coming back. I don't like that. His silence is heavy. Then you feel his hand cover yours. It's rough, calloused, warm. You think I like it? He asks softly. You look up. I do what I know how to do, he says. I know how to make men listen. I know how to protect what's mine. It's not pretty work. But you, he taps your knuckles lightly. You know how to do something else. You have that head, those books, those teachers. Maybe you go and you learn how to make a different world, one where little girls don't have to be scared when their papas go to work. Something hot pricks behind your eyes. You talk like I'm going to save the world, you say, trying to keep your voice steady. He smiles, a real one this time, small but bright. You don't have to save the world, he says. Just save yours. His thumb squeezes your fingers gently. Get your degree. Get a job with a desk and a chair that doesn't wobble. Marry some nice boy who doesn't know which end of a gun is which. Have kids who think the family business means a grocery store or a law firm. A tiny laugh escapes you, strangled and wet. A law firm, you say? Really? Why not? He says, eyes gleaming. You like to argue. Might as well get paid for it. Your mother finally moves, placing a plate in front of him with more force than necessary. You're going to make her cry, she scolds, but her voice is soft around the edges. He pats your hand once more, then lets go, reaching for his fork. I'm not going to do this forever, he says, almost as an afterthought. I'm not a fool. I know how these stories go. Men get old, or they get stupid, or they get dead. He cuts a meatball, steam curling up. I'd like to be old when I stop, preferably with my feet up somewhere they speak Italian and the sun is warm. He glances at you. And I want my girl to visit wearing a nice dress from some boring department store job and complaining about traffic instead of this. Your throat feels too tight to talk, so you just nod. He nods back, like some agreement has been sealed. Your mother sits down. The three of you share a meal, late as it is. Your father tells a harmless story about a man at the docks dropping a crate on his foot. Your mother laughs at the right parts. You eat without tasting much. Under the table, your toes curl into the worn rug. On the surface, it's just dinner. Underneath, something has shifted. He didn't promise you safety. He didn't pretend this life was something it isn't. But he did something new tonight. He gave you permission to leave it. Someday. In the days that follow, the black Chevy doesn't come back. Or, if it does, it doesn't stay. The street returns to its usual rhythm. Kids playing stickball, women gossiping on stoops, men with cigarettes clamped between their teeth sweeping their storefronts. The bakery door swings open and shut, like a heartbeat. Your father's meetings go on, but they feel different to you now. Less like an immovable fact carved into the stone of your life, and more like a chapter in a book that will eventually end. You throw yourself into your classes. You raise your hand more. You stay late at the library, reading not just what's assigned, but the books that sit next to the assigned ones on the shelves. You learn about people who stepped away from the paths laid out for them and carved new ones through rock and expectation. You start to imagine yourself among them. Rosie notices. You've got that look, she says one afternoon, sprawled on your bed while you sort through notes. She pops a piece of gum into her mouth and chews thoughtfully. The one where your head's not on this block anymore. I'm going to be stuck on this block forever, you say, but it comes out half-hearted. She blows a bubble. Maybe your feet, yeah, but your brain? No way. You smile, despite yourself. You ever think about leaving? You ask. She arches an eyebrow. Leaving Brooklyn? Leaving All of this, you say, waving a hand vaguely. The brick buildings, the laundry lines, the bakery that is not just a bakery. She sighs, staring up at your cracked ceiling. Sometimes I think about California, she says. Sun and beaches, movie stars, no winter, no Mrs. DeLuca yelling at me 'cause I pinned a hem wrong. Why don't you go? You ask. She shrugs. My ma would cry. My brothers would kill me. I don't got what you got. No college, no degree, no rich relatives in Jersey. She grins, teasing. You, though, you could. You roll a pen between your fingers. Where would I go? You ask quietly. She chews, considering. Anywhere you want, she says, finally. That's the point, ain't it? You look at your desk, at the stack of books, at the leather diary tucked into the corner, holding all the things you can't say out loud. Anywhere you want. The words feel too big and too bright to touch, but you hold them anyway. One night, weeks later, you find yourself again at the kitchen table, the house quiet except for your mother's soft snores, drifting from the open bedroom door. Your father is out, not for work, tonight exactly. For business, he said, with that careful edge that tells you not to ask follow-up questions. Frankie came to get him, hat pulled low, mouth a hard line. You watched them go from the window. You told yourself you weren't going to stand there counting the minutes. And yet, the clock ticks. You open your diary. The pen hovers. You write about class, about the professor asking you to stay after and tell him more about what you wrote in your paper on informal economies. You lied, of course. You said you'd read it in a newspaper article. He believed you. You write about Rosie, about how she wants a dress with a cinched waist and a full skirt for the spring dance, and how she might, for once, let herself like someone without worrying what your father would say. You write about your mother, catching her humming lullabies while she kneaded dough, lost in a memory. You write about the way the air feels tonight, heavy and thick, like something is leaning against the city. Then you stop, because there's a sound, not footsteps in the hallway, not the jingle of keys, a sound from below, raised voices. You freeze. Your heart starts that racing, painful thing again. You move to the window, every muscle screaming that you should stay put. You look down. The alley is lit up by the bakery's back door, thrown wide. Figures move in the sharp rectangle of light. One of them is your father, his posture tight, his hands raised slightly like he's calming a horse. Another man stands opposite him. You've seen him once or twice, at the edge of block parties, in cars that didn't stay long. His suit is too smooth, his hair too shiny. He smiles with only half his mouth. His boys flank him, hands in their coats. You can't hear everything, but you catch pieces tossed up on the night air. Doc was not your place. You stepping on toes you shouldn't. We had an understanding. Your father's voice, low and steady. We do have an understanding, he says. You don't touch mine, I don't touch yours. Smarmy suit laughs, smoke curling from his cigarette. It looks wrong here, in your alley, under your window. Feels like you already did, Russo, he says. Your fingers dig into the window frame. The world narrows to this little slice of light. You see Frankie, off to the side, muscles coiled tight. Just behind him, you see something else. Joey, from the corner, the boy who walks you home and pretends he's not terrified of your father. He's standing in the shadows, eyes wide, hands empty, like he walked into the wrong movie. Your stomach flips. What do you want? Your father asks. The other man flicks ash. A gesture, he says. Something to show you know your place. Maybe you move your shipments to another night. Maybe you let some things pass through without your boys taking a taste. Maybe you stay away from certain people. His eyes roam the alley lazily. Your father doesn't move. And if I don't? He asks. There's a shift you can feel even from up here. The hairs on your arms rise. Then Brooklyn gets messy, the man says, smiling. And nobody wants that, huh? Bad for business. He steps closer, just enough to make your heart trip. You see Frankie's hand twitch toward his coat. Your father puts out a hand, barely a flicker of motion, but it keeps him still. Brooklyn's been messy long before you came along, your father says. His voice has cooled, not risen. You want to do business? We can talk. You want to make threats on my doorstep? His eyes go flat in a way that makes even you shiver. You should be more careful. You don't breathe. The man looks up, past your father's shoulder, past Frankie, up toward the dark line of the building. For one horrible second, you think he sees you. You're just a shadow behind glass. But still, his smile widens. You got a pretty daughter, don't you, Russo? He says casually. Your blood turns to ice. Down below, your father goes very, very still. Careful, Frankie mutters, barely audible. You see the slight shift in the other boys, weight moving, hands tightening. You are just a girl at a window. But suddenly, you are the center of this conversation. Your skin feels too tight. You are hyper-aware of your bare forearms, the thin cotton of your blouse, the gold cross at your throat. Your father's voice, when it comes, is soft. Leave my family out of this, he says. The man shrugs one shoulder. I'm just saying, he says. Brooklyn's small. Accidents happen. Girl like that walking home from school would be a shame, no? The world goes very quiet. You are not sure your heart is beating. Your father takes one step forward. One. Listen to me very carefully, he says. The air around him seems to thicken. You come at me, you come at my business. We play the game. You know the rules. I know the rules. His hands are open at his sides now, but his whole body radiates something you don't have a word for. Power, maybe, or pure, distilled danger. You even say my daughter's name again. I don't care who you are, where you sit, who you answer to. I will forget the rules, you understand? The other man's smile flickers. Just a little. Enough. We're all friends here, he says, backing off with practiced ease. No need to get dramatic. He flicks his cigarette to the ground and grinds it under his shoe. Think about what I said, he adds, voice once again light. We can all make money. No need to bleed over it. He turns, lifts his chin at his boys. They file out of the alley. Their shadows stretch long. Your father stands there for a long moment after they're gone. Frankie exhales, a sharp burst. Boss, he says. Your father lifts a hand. Get the boys, he says. Nobody walks alone. Not tonight, not tomorrow, not until I say so. And the shipments? Frankie asks. Same as planned, your father says. If we start dancing just because somebody hums a tune, we look weak. He tips his head back, looking up at the slice of sky overhead. You duck away from the window before his gaze reaches your floor, heart pounding against your ribs like it wants out. You lean against the wall, breath coming too fast, palms slick. He almost said my name, you think. He almost said my name. You slide down until you're sitting on the floor, knees pulled to your chest. The apartment feels too small. Your life feels suddenly painfully narrow. A thin walkway between two high walls. On one side, the life that gave you everything you have. On the other, the yawning drop of what happens if it all goes wrong. You have never wanted your own life more than you do in this moment. You have never been more afraid of how little of it you control. That night, you don't sleep much. When you do drift off, it's in disjointed pieces. You dream of cars idling on corners, of men in suits stepping out from shadows, of your father standing alone at the docks, the river black and bottomless around him. You wake before dawn, heart racing, the bed sheets twisted around your legs like vines. The apartment is quiet. Your father's shoes are by the door. His door is closed. He came home. He is safe, for now. You lie there, listening to the building breathe, the pipes ticking, someone 2 floors down coughing, the distant clatter of the first morning deliveries. Then something in you decides, enough. You swing your legs out of bed and grab your robe. The floor is cold. The hallway is dim, gray with pre-dawn light. You pad to the kitchen and put on the kettle, moving quietly so as not to wake your parents. While the water heats, you pull out your diary. You don't sit at the table this time. You stand by the window as the sky begins to pale, the city slowly revealing itself in shades of blue and gray. You open to a fresh page. You start to write. You write what you saw. The man in the too smooth suit. The words about your father. The words about you. You write about the tight knot in your chest. The way your father's face changed when that man mentioned his daughter. How the air itself seemed to stand still. You write about power, not in the abstract language of textbooks, but in the concrete reality of a Brooklyn alley at midnight. You write about fear. You write about love. You write about the way your father drew a line in the night and said, without saying it, "You are mine." They do not touch you. You don't know how long you stand there, pen moving until the kettle screams. You jump, laugh a little at yourself and pull it off the burner. The apartment starts to wake up around you. Your mother emerges, hair in curlers, blinking at the clock. "You're up early," she says, surprised. "Couldn't sleep," you say. "Thought I'd get a head start on reading." She kisses your cheek absently, already reaching for the coffee tin. Your father appears minutes later, tying his tie, looking, for once, a little older than his years. "Morning," he says. His eyes flick to the notebook in your hands. For a second, you are sure he don't just sees a diary. You are sure he sees a choice. "What's that?" he asks lightly. "Homework," you say. He nods, accepting the lie, or accepting your right to keep small secrets of your own. "Good," he says. "Keep doing it." He pours his coffee. Your mother plays breakfast. The 3 of you sit down as the L rumbles by and the sun finally breaks over the buildings, washing the kitchen in pale gold. You say grace. You eat eggs. You tell him about your sociology paper, most of it anyway. He listens, proud in a quiet way. After, as you grab your bag and books, he stops you at the door. "Tesoro," he says. You turn. He holds your gaze for a long moment. "You walk in with somebody today?" he asks. "Rosie," you say, from the corner, like always. "And from the train to the school?" he presses. "Lots of people," you say, trying to smile. "Nobody's gonna snatch me off a subway platform, Papa. That's for the pictures." He doesn't smile back. "Humor an old man," he says. "Stay in the crowd. Come home in the crowd. You hear something you don't like, you walk away. You see a car sitting too long, you go around. You feel funny, you trust it. Your chest tightens. "I will," you say. He nods. Good girl. He presses a kiss to your forehead, breath warm. You go, down the stairs, out into the street. The day is clear and cold. Your breath puffs in front of you. Somewhere, a radio is already playing, a woman's voice high and sweet above the crackle. You walk past the bakery. You look at the front window instead of the alley. You find Rosie on the corner, scarf wrapped up to her nose. You look like you didn't sleep, she says, squinting at you. I didn't, you answer. Dreaming about professors again? She teases. You shake your head. Dreaming about getting out, you say. She falls quiet. You walk together toward the train. At the station, you part ways like always. On the platform, jostled by strangers, hem of your coat brushing against their coats, hand around the strap of your book bag, you feel something like possibility, not safety, not exactly. You don't think you'll ever feel entirely safe as long as your life sits between the bakery and the back room. But possibility. You open your sociology notebook. Then, after a moment, you slide your diary in front of it. Not to write, just to feel its weight in your hands. You think about all the stories of your life pressed between those covers, all the things you've seen and felt and understood. You think about what your father said. Maybe you make a different world. Maybe you just make a different life. Either way, you think, you're not just the boss's daughter. You're the girl who sees everything, the girl who knows how power feels on the skin and in the air, the girl with a pen. The train roars into the station. The doors open. You step on. That night, long after your parents have gone to bed and the bakery's ovens have cooled, you sit at your window with the lights out. Brooklyn glows below you, street lamps, apartment windows, the occasional flash of a car turning the corner. The L hums in the distance, a familiar metal lullaby. You rest your chin on your knees and watch. Down below, a man walks his dog. A couple argues quietly outside a doorway, their body language sharp and then, suddenly, soft. A kid rides a bicycle too fast, jacket flapping. You could, if you wanted to, name half the people on this block by the way they move, by the shape of their shoulders, by the rhythm of their steps. This is your world, for now, but not forever. You think about California sunsets Rosie dreams of, about the smell of library books, about courtrooms and offices and classrooms where nobody knows your father's name unless you decide to tell them. You think about your mother's prayers and your father's hands and the way he said, "You don't need this life." You think about how, maybe, you can love where you came from and still walk towards somewhere else. The night wraps around you like a blanket. You hear your father snore from the next room, steady as the ticking of the kitchen clock. You close your eyes. In the morning, you'll wake up again in this little third-floor walk-up over a bakery that isn't just a bakery in Brooklyn, 1956. You'll pour coffee. You'll kiss your father's cheek. You'll step over the crack in the sidewalk you've stepped over 1,000 times. You'll go to class and read about power in neat, printed words and feel it in the way men look at your father when he walks into a room. You'll write. You'll study. You'll dream. You'll build slowly, quietly, the kind of life where you don't have to look over your shoulder every time a car idles too long on your corner. You'll save your world, one small, stubborn choice at a time. And somewhere in the middle of all that, the trains, the meetings, the classes, the dinners, you'll fall asleep, listening to the hum of the city and the heartbeat of your family's complicated love. For now, that's enough. For tonight, you let it be enough. You breathe in, you breathe out, and you let Brooklyn, with all its danger and warmth and noise, rock you gently toward sleep.